Good day and welcome to part 3 in my series discussing the 7 ecclesiastical modes, aka the church modes. And welcome to the dark side of the Phrygian mode. Let's look at the natural Phrygian mode. It starts on the 3rd degree of the C scale, 3, and it uses the same notes found in C major. No sharps, no flats. Like all the other modes I've talked about, I will be using C as my tonic note for the sake of easier viewing. It is the darkest mode thanks to the help of that flattened 2nd scale degree. Phrygian can also take on a Spanish flamenco flavor in the hands of a good acoustic guitar player. Also, Miles Davis produced an inspiring Phrygian flavor on his album Sketches of Spain. Rock groups have also gravitated to the uniqueness of the Far Eastern sound that mode can produce. Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun by Pink Floyd, and 2 by Metallica, Wherever I May Roam, and Harvest of Sorrow are good examples to view the Phrygian Eastern flavor. I'm going to comment on that a little later. I have composed an 8-bar sentence that is pure Phrygian. I'd like to show you 3 different approaches to these 8 bars, which shows the versatility in the sound quality that the Phrygian mode is capable of producing. Well, see what you think. I'm going to start off very simply so you get the hang of my little song here. From a voice leading point of view, you can see that I approached the tonic from above through the flat 3, the flat 2, and to the tonic 1. I could have approached it from underneath and it would have sounded like this. Versus, just an observation. My second example, same song, is going to be a lot different. Phrygian modes on occasion will use tonic pedal point, a droning tonic, if you will. The only problem with that is that there will be a conflict with the 7 chord, the B flat minor, the D flat against the C, very sharp dissonant, and obviously the 2 chord has the same problem with the D flat root against the C. It's going to make it very dark and certainly quite dissonant, but it's done and it changes the flavor altogether. Let's give that a listen. Very dark. On my last example, I'm going to be using extended harmony, 4 notes and 5 notes. Through a dark mode, a little warmth can be found. See what you think. As you can see, a very interesting mode indeed. Just for fun, let's compare Twinkle Twinkle Little Star using the bright Ionian. Then I'll immediately follow up using the dark Phrygian. Now I'll only use the 3 primary chords for both examples, that being the 1, the 4, and the 5. Well, let's give it a listen. I don't know how the small children would react to that. To recap, I have discussed the 5 modes. The first mode is major, also known as Ionian, followed by Mixolydian, then Dorian, and then Aeolian, aka minor, and finally Phrygian. Now these 5 modes are referred to as, are you ready for this? The tonal modes. Why? Well, because they all represent tonal stability. What makes these chords unique are the perfect intervals of the 4th, 5th, and the octave. Throughout all of the 5 modes, these particular intervals remain consistent. They are never altered in any way. The other 2 remaining modes, Lydian and Locrian, will be examined in part 4. And there'll be some interesting surprises for you when we review those 2. By the way, I should point out that only the 3 primary chords get the capital Roman numeral designation for both major and minor. Why? Well, because the roots form the perfect intervals. Let me just take a moment to explain the reasoning for this, since many people are all over the map on this point. A perfect 5th inverts into a perfect 4th, inverts into a perfect 5th, into a perfect 4th, and so on. A perfect octave inverts into an octave, inverts into an octave, so on and so forth. That is why they and no other intervals receive the capital Roman numeral designation. I would like to go through the 5 tonal modes in order from lightest and brightest to darkest and heaviest, and play a short, well-known melody for each one. Listen carefully as to how the modes affect the melody line. You can see the Ionian mode has not been altered in any way, therefore making it the brightest and most stable of them all. Mixolydian is our second major altered mode. Starts us all off on our journey to the dark side with its altered 7th degree. Dorian, the lighter of our minor modes, introduces us to the minor 3rd as well as the 7th, leaving the Dorian 6th intact. Aeolian, it's our basic minor scale, has the darker sound quality with its altered 6th, minor 3rd, and 7th. The Phrygian, darkest minor of them all. It has 4 variances: flat 2, flat 3, flat 6, and flat 7. Composers know that if they stick strictly with the structure of each mode, they'll get 100% back from what that mode has to offer. However, other factors do come into play. Mode characteristics can produce awkward voice leading that may need adjusting. This means that the harmony may have to be altered in order to accommodate these changes. Now remember that every time you modify a mode, you lose some characteristics of it. So in the real world, there will always be a balancing act between the feel of the mode versus smooth voice leading. Okay, now this seems like the right time to reveal to you the real story behind the modes. Successful composers and arrangers use what is called the mixed mode technique when creating music. Yes, they can and do work directly in various modes. However, they are also aware that using the mixed mode technique gives you an overview of the tonal modes at the same time. When we combine all the tonal modes into one major scale, we find that there is a total of 19 chords. For example, you might decide to use a major feel for a verse and then change it into a minor flavor of some kind when entering into the bridge. Any of the 12 major keys can be host to this technique. Using C, let's locate these 19 chords, and then I'll also provide chord numbers as they would apply on the various scale degrees. So part of the real story is that when using the mixed mode technique, I can combine the harmonies from all 5 modes for each degree of the scale. These basic triads can be extended out to 4, 5, or 6 notes. I have 2 possibilities on the tonic 1 chord. I can use a major triad or a minor triad on the 1 chord. Major comes from the Ionian and the Mixolydian mode, while the minor comes from the Aeolian, Phrygian, and Dorian. Of course, these triads can be extended out to 7ths, 9ths, and 11ths. On the 2nd degree of the scale, I have 3 possibilities. The diminished chord, which comes from the Aeolian mode, and the major chord, in this case the D flat, from the Phrygian mode. On the 3rd degree of the scale, I have the minor triad, the diminished triad, and I have the major chord on the E flat that comes from the Dorian, Phrygian, and Aeolian mode, moving up to 4. So on the 4th degree, we're down to 2 possible triads, major and minor. On the 5th degree, 3 different possibilities, the major and the minor and the diminished. From the Ionian and the Mixolydian, diminished, and the major chord, in this case A flat. And on the 7th degree, I have 3 possibilities. The diminished chord, the major chord, in this case B flat, and I have a minor triad from the Phrygian mode. And that's the mixed mode technique that gives you unlimited possibilities. Let's look at the terminology for the mixed mode chords starting on the tonic C. Now remember that these are the numbers used as they relate to major. To start off, we have 2 possibilities for the tonic chord. 1 minor, or that could be referred to as 1 flat 3. Moving up to the 2nd degree, we have 2 flat 5, and flat 2. And on the 3rd degree, it's the same as the 2nd degree. 3 flat 5, and flat 3. On the 4th degree of the scale, we have 2 possibilities, 4 minor, or that could be referred to as 4 flat 3. Moving up, 5 minor, and 5 diminished, or the Phrygian 5. 6 flat 5, or it could be referred to as the Dorian 6, and flat 6. And the last one, 7 flat 7, flat 3, and that could be also referred to as the Phrygian 7. Finally, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the use of musica ficta. What is musica ficta? Well, it means artificial music. Musica ficta melodically raises the 6th and the 7th minor scale notes when approaching the tonic from below, and then restores them back to their modal form when descending. The principle is referred to as the melodic minor, and it can also apply to all minor modes. including the major mixolydian. Music affecta has been used in other ways as well, like creating the harmonic minor. Or just altering existing scales for no other reason than achieving a different flavor of sound. The Phrygian mode is a prime candidate for this. The dominant Phrygian is produced by simply making the mode major. This creates an augmented second interval between the flat 2 and the major 3rd. This strengthens the Arabic sound. The Phrygian mode is completely lost if you change the 7th note and raise it to a leading tone, as would appear in a harmonic minor. Now the scale has 2 augmented intervals, one in the lower half, the other in the upper half. This creation is called the double harmonic scale, for your information, and gives an even stronger Arabic flavor and frankly well outside the boundaries of this tutorial. You know, frankly, in my opinion, once you turn Phrygian into major, you're no longer in Phrygian. Alright, whoa, enough. That's gotta be a wrap. We certainly have covered a lot of material, so you might consider rewatching it and perhaps pausing it once or twice along the way. Part 4, Lydian and Locrian. You don't want to miss the closing segment for those modes. Please subscribe, keep well, be kind, and I'll meet you there for Part 4 when we conclude this mode series. Bye for now.